These are poems you'd never hear otherwise, by poets you'll never meet. They are reclusive poets, and their poems I treasure and carry with me because I respect the people who made them. This is by Deborah Hall, who lives in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and it's called To Question is Always Right. To question is always right. To dream, to think, to inquire, to cast aside darkness for light, even if it involves treading the high wire. Too many people just don't want to know anything except complacency. They're smug, they're grey, their life lacks that glow of interest, their life seems a fallacy. It can be a tricky trapeze act sometimes, not knowing how far to walk one's curiosity into another person's mind, whether to stalk responses unrelentingly or stay on a leash employing tact. I couldn't be with someone who locked away their mind and numbed their senses. Keep flowing, querying over, bubbling, delighting in sun rays. Keep thinking, projecting, feeling, living fully, feeling always. And this is one by a Russian poet who I've met twice, Yevgeny Yevtushenko. I met him at the University of Melbourne, the University of Texas. And he used to fill football stadiums with people. He was so popular. His most famous poems are City of Yes and the City of No, Brush Station, and this one, which is in translation, that's called Lies. Telling lies to the young is wrong. Telling them that God's in his heaven and all's well with this world is wrong. Tell them that the way is hard, that the difficulties are uncounted. Tell them that you have failed before and will probably fail again. Tell them now, tell them often, otherwise the young will not forgive in us what we so readily forgave in ourselves. Now that one by Bree Hancock, Little Town, he has another famous poem called Talking to Trees. The person who owns the Hideout loves Bree Hancock's poetry, and I've given him the only book in this country of Bree Hancock's poetry. He's got a beautiful poem to Galvanized Iron, and this is his other famous one called Talking to Trees, which I love very much, by Bree Hancock. And respond as you will by listening and responding in your own way. Once upon a sunny Alice in Wonderland afternoon, picnicking with friends in an ordinary public park, the idea came to talk to the trees, or rather listen to what they had to say. And I found their words hung in the air about them, accessible at any time to anyone with patience to listen, with whole body attentive. And I heard them speak of being more than the ground one grows from, of growing beautiful in the light of the sun of mortal day. And a cloud passed. I heard them speak of loneliness, of being alone amongst friends, and the need for a special one with whom to share one's lovingness and humanity. And I thought of my speeding fast down tree-lined avenues, ignoring their treesiness, but now imagine my reaching out and touching each tree as I pass, glad of their being there, and me just glad to be. Bree Hancock.
I love that.
I love it too. This is by Robert Dickens.
That was Bree Hancock.
Bree Hancock, yeah.
How do you spell Bree?
B-R-I-D-H, H-A-N-C-O-C-K. Do a Google on him.
B-R-I-D-H?
Yes.
Hancock.
Hancock, yes. I've got his email if you want to tell him how much you like it, because he's an extraordinary poet. He wants to come over here. He does books on elves and pixies and fairies. And this is one by Robert Dickens. His brother is a very famous writer called Barry Dickens, an illustrator and cartoonist, but I like the younger brother because this sonnet absolutely makes me happy. It's called The Blood of Butterflies. The blood of butterflies would burn your eyes, my love. 'Tis concentrated sunlight that tips their wings in flight, and the moon's cocoon spun silver in the shadows of the river, and the heartful song of water birds. Love, listen to their peaceful words. Falling, flying through the trees, the sunburnt leaves in autumn breeze curl upon the grass and reap the sanctuary of subtle sleep. Love, my shelter, if I was smart, would I so freely give my heart? It's by Robert Dickens.
Robert Dickens.
Yeah. And this is one by fabulous Neil Richards, who is a very close friend of his, and it's about Paris. And if you've been to Paris, you know that you're not allowed to touch the paintings, but I did. Ladies and street lamps once loved and alive, with pure fire throw shadows at midnight, shadows at midnight. Wine-painted rain, some puddles by Renoir lay scattered in the streets unsigned. Young sailors, first time away from home, sleep in the arms of love leftovers. Orphans together, even alone, living in the crowded paintings of Paris. The rehearsal of dances gave Degas chances to show us their pastel blue eyes, a glance of surprise. From houses of pleasure and silk and sadness she lies, a perfumed disguise, like remnants of rag stools, hanging on to fingers and coins are loves left over, sleeping with sailors yet somehow alone, even in the crowded paintings of Paris.
This is called Paintings of Paris.
Paintings of Paris, that's by Neil Richards.